Well, I saw this kind of open video tag on Patty's potato peelers the other day, and figured it'd be kind of fun to kind of walk through the knives that YouTube has kind of influenced me to purchase over the last couple of years that I've been kind of watching and doing all sorts of that stuff. And the first one up here is the Rake, sorry. This is the 801. This is in, 14C28N. Stainless steel front and back on this guy, but, nice tumbled finish there on the blade as well. This thing tore my thumb nail bed away from the rest of my thumb, trying to get that thumb stud to actually work. I can do it now. But these things are definitely not tuned for using a thumb stud at all. It is really designed to use just as a flipper tab. The knife itself, not all that bad. A little heavy for its size, just because we have, those stainless steel liners without any kind of skeletonization or other weight relieving kind of things there. But the action's pretty good. Blade on it's not too bad either. It's pretty run-of-the-mill 14C. Nothing super amazing, but hey, it definitely works. And it's a nice thin little guy too. Well, I won't say little because it's just a tad under 3.5 inches. So yeah, this thing is I guess fairly long as far as the knife goes. I did pick up more of these later on, and they all kind of disappointed me, which is kind of sad. They all have some drawbacks or other things. This one isn't the most egregious one, but I've talked about those before in the past. So I'll go ahead and set that guy up. We'll go ahead and put him up there. Alright, next up was Gonzotown. And this is the FH21. I don't remember exactly which YouTube channel kind of talked me into these. I think I had heard the brand name from Patty's before in the past, but he was looking a little bit more at the replicas of the Delica and things like that. I think this was probably Frankie and Bird over at Birdshot IV that probably talked me into this one. This is the FB or the FH21. Nice D2 steel. It's a little small. I do have basically the rest of the series here. I don't have the I think it's the 41 and the 61 I skipped because they were just, I saw they were too small for my hands, so I had no reason to get them. But I do have a ton of the others, the 11, the 13, which is my favorite because it reminds me a lot of this, but is just executed a little bit better. And all the way up to the 91, the 921, the 922, and I think the 923. Yeah, they're pretty good knives, especially for the fact that they're under $30. Yeah, I really do appreciate the FH series and the scheming, I suppose, because I kind of lumped that into this because they're original designs. They weren't really trying to harp on anybody else's design and whatnot. So, moving on from there, I think I have a couple of FreeTigers, and I think I picked these up basically around the same time, and I think LTK, or Love Them Knives, probably talked me into this after seeing one of their steel test videos. And yeah, this one is the FT11, and this smaller one here is the FT903. This one's in D2, this one's in 14C28N. Both of them are in a nice purple G10, which definitely sold me on them. This one's definitely a bit of a darker color, a little bit more red, so like a dark purplish maroon or something like that, but I like them both. This one I did a video on a very, very long time ago. The detent ball actually fell out of the liner on this thing very shortly after I ended up purchasing it. But luckily, where it fell was somewhere easily noticeable, my bed, because that's where I was laying and playing with it. So I was able to recover it and reseat it in there. And I haven't had problems with it since, but it does stay on my mind. So I don't actually carry this one all that much just because of the worry that, you lose a detent ball. Knife doesn't stay closed. So, yeah, that's a little awkward and whatnot. The detent on it is very strong, which is probably why it ended up dislodging at some point. And it's built pretty well. It's not my absolute favorite FreeTiger. I think my favorite one is the FT31. I think it was tan and had an Axis style lock, or a crossbar lock, if you will. But yeah, there was another couple of them. And then we have this guy here. This is the Bearfly. Yeah, the Bearfly from Jofule, something like that. And unfortunately, I did ended up purchasing this one. I got it off of AliExpress. It took a while to get here. And I purchased it kind of as well, I was a little bit interested in the knife, but this is the first design that this company has done that wasn't an absolute blatant ripoff of another company's knives, whether it was Strider's knives, Spyderco's, Benchmades, the whole lot. They've probably done a whole bunch of them, which I don't agree with at all, but this is an original design, and I kind of liked it. This one, for whatever reason, the action on it isn't all that great, because it is riding on bearings, and I'm not quite sure. I've taken it apart, but when it did come out of the box, it was better, so I don't know. I must have done something to it. The micarta on it is actually really, really nice. It's a nice blue color. They apparently had to do some sort of boiling technique for it. At least that's what their page on AliExpress had mentioned. What I don't know necessarily is if that was in reference to the fact that this was natural micarta and they used some sort of synthetic dye, or if that was just part of the whole micarta sort of thing going on there. I don't know. Either way, it's not bad for a kind of a smaller knife. We got some nice contours on it. Pocket clip is reversible, which is nice because ambidextrous for the Axis lock there. It's pretty good. I think a little bit later on, Ethan however you pronounce that, did actually end up bringing that over as a little bit more of a stateside kind of knife. But I haven't seen them bring over the blue version of the micarta. I think they just did the black one. I think that's right. I don't know. Maybe things have changed, but it's not bad. It's definitely a competent knife in a lot of ways that a knife needs to be. You know, the grind isn't spectacular, but hey, at least it's stone washed and all that sort of good stuff. All right, let's see. I think the next one I have up here, and some of you might gasp a little bit, not at the knife itself. This is a CJRB Centro, so there's nothing wrong with that. What is wrong with that is the grind that I end up having up here. I ended up accidentally blowing a chunk out of the knife. Knives and live electricity wires don't mix, so you probably don't want to do anything like that. So that's how that notch ended up getting there, and I did a bad job of repairing it. I should probably go back in there and fix that up, but I do have, let's see, where is it? Oh, there we go. I do have a little bit nicer version of it now with the nice olive drab and contoured micarta version of it. But otherwise, basically the same knife, and this one's just a little bit nicer in general, so. Except for this one has exceptional lock stick, which I still haven't been able to fix, whereas this one doesn't, so there's that. Okay, let's see. Next up, I think we're going back to Patty's channel for some things, and these are our brother knives. These aren't all of them that I have, but they're close to it. These were the ones that I ended up picking up after seeing the stuff on his channel. We got this Warncliffe guy here, the 1508. They do a really good job of their carbon fiber. I'm happy to see that. It is contoured. It's not just a flat scale. And the steel, they've actually done a really good job of doing the heat treat on this. It's pretty high hardness as far as I can tell from sharpening. I don't have a Rockwell hardness scale or anything like that, but this stuff has given me a lot of trouble to actually get a nice clean edge on it. All of these guys. So yeah, they do hold up quite well. I think the little warning here is probably my favorite out of the bunch. They got a nice half stop, nice snap. They do squeeze, so they don't have a stop pin when they're closed, but the back spring is so far away from the blade, especially on this Warncliffe, that it's not really an issue. This one maybe just a little bit more, and well, I'll open this one as well. This one, we got green micarta going on here. This is a 1510. And this one came with some strange sharpening thing there. Now, I've done my own sharpening since, but as you can see, I've kind of kept that. So I do actually want to go back and fix that up a little bit. You know, right back where the sharpening choil is, they do flare out a little bit, which is, it's a little unfortunate. It's kind of what the sharpening choil is supposed to kind of prevent in the first place. But, yeah, this is another nice one. This one's a slip joint as well. And this one does have a stop pin. So, yeah, it does not have any kind of blade wrap kind of issues going on with it. And then we got this guy right here, which a lot of people end up liking. And I can kind of understand that. It's really lightweight. This is the 1511. All three of these are in VG10 steel, by the way. And yeah, the carbon fiber, as usual, is done pretty well. And then we have some blue G10 kind of liners going on here. The problem that I've ended up having with this thing is, well, I mean, for one, mine came very, very loose. And, yeah, that's something usually annoying with some pen construction things. You can, and I probably should at some point, wrap this up in something and give it a couple of whacks with a hammer to try to bring some things back together a little bit. But in general, this thing just doesn't feel anywhere near as sturdy and solid as these guys do. Yeah, it is a slip joint, so you weren't really going to be putting any kind of torque or downward pressure on the thing. But still, yeah, this one just feels a little bit more fragile in my hands than the other ones that I picked up. So not my favorite, but it seems to be a favorite for a lot of people. And yeah, these guys are all somewhere around, I think, 30, 32 bucks a piece or something like that. I think this one might have been just a little bit cheaper than that. But yeah, I'll go ahead and set that over there. Let's see. Next up, another slip joint, but this one was basically just kind of beaten into me from the knife industry in general. This is the Real Steel Luna. This one is a Knife Center exclusive with the white G10 and the black hardware. So a little Stormtrooper-esque kind of thing going on there with it. And it's a pretty darn good knife. They've gone on to make about 8,000 different variations of this knife in all sorts of different steels and different materials. And now they have a couple of them that have like a lock on them. I don't remember if it was a frame lock or a back lock or something. But yeah, they are really grabbing and going for it like it's an Elementum or something. So there's that. But this is the one that I have. Yeah, white G10. We don't have any liners outside of that, but G10 is nice and sturdy enough that it's a nice to have, but not a requirement. This one does have a pocket clip, It is really strange because if you actually want to remove this pocket clip, which you can, you actually need to do that from the inside of the knife. So you have to fully disassemble the knife, including removing the back spring to be able to do that. It's kind of a pain in the ass. But I mean, as far as the knife goes, pretty darn nice. It's in D2 steel, of course, because, well, it's kind of budget, and that's what a whole bunch of people kind of stick to. I do like the jimping on the front, so you can feel before you slide your finger up on there, because it doesn't really have any finger guards to it. What I do find weird is it does have a stop, but it's not a half stop. It's like a 2/3 stop or something like that. It's really strange, but yeah, the fuller does a pretty good job of allowing you to open that two-handed really easily. I do like a fuller much more than you know, a little nail nick or something like that. Those things usually destroy my fingers anyway. But this is also nice because you can do those aftermarket attached thumb stud kind of things if you want to open it that way. Things that are also kind of compatible with I think the Buck 110 and Buck 112 and stuff like that. But yeah, it's a pretty interesting knife, but kind of played out way too much by the company as far as I was kind of concerned. All right, next one up is this guy. This is a Boker, and it's the Bonfire. And it's a top flipper. We got super nice action going on there for it from the bearings. And we have polished green micarta on this guy here. We got a nice deep carry clip on them. This is kind of a modification of the original one that was either a slip joint or a back lock. And that's kind of where this nail nick sort of situation was kind of a holdover from. And I do like this thing quite a bit, but it does have some problems that are a little annoying. For one, the detent is almost non-existent, and I know that they've done that so that you can do the top flip relatively easily, as well as doing it that way. But in doing so, it's really easy to drop this out of the handle. A lot of times when you don't actually want it to. So that's something that I would probably want to fix up a little bit, add a little bit more tension on the lock bar thing to do that. And also, you see the lockup on this thing isn't quite as late as I would appreciate it to be. It is fairly reliable, but it has gotten a little bit better over time, as you've seen basically in kind of the first video where I covered this, where I almost just kind of guillotined right through my fingers or hands or something like that with it. So yeah, some work does need to be done on it. But yeah, it is a really nice kind of a mix of a newer style knife, but really has a lot of traditional vibes to it. This is a Boker Plus, using D2 steel, and from what I've heard, this one is manufactured in Italy, so it's not one of their Chinese or Taiwan factories that do a lot of their Boker Plus stuff. So that's kind of interesting. I don't know who they actually work with in Italy. Yeah, like I said, I have no idea. It might be Fox, might be somebody else. Who knows? I'm not the most knowledgeable with in regards to Italian-made knives. But yeah, it's a pretty neat one right there. And let's see. I think the last one I got here, and I suppose this makes sense for my channel. It's a TwoSun, and this is the TS129. This one's an M390. It's a night morning design. You can see we got thumb hole for doing the Spidey flick, but also works really well if you really just want to give it the gusto and get that thing out like you're treating it like a thumb stud. Works super comfortable for that. And it's also a competent front flipper. That's pretty cool there. The blade shape, pretty interesting. A little Spyderco-esque. Not quite the leaf shape, but fairly close to it. We just kind of have it terminated a little bit more in a sheep's foot kind of thing going on there. But you can choke up pretty nice behind the edge there if that's something that you prefer to do for some more fine work out there at the heel. Obviously, some nice carbon fiber work, titanium on the back. My label that's partially falling off, so I should probably move that somewhere else. And if I didn't mention it before, yeah, this one's an M390. That's the only version of it that I've seen, but that doesn't mean it's the first version that existed. Not quite sure, since I started picking up TwoSuns long after this one was a brand new model. But it's pretty good. Just a little tiny touch smaller than I initially thought. I'm not saying it's a small knife. It's, yeah, just a little bit under 3.5 inch for the blade. But I thought it was around 3.5 to 3.6 inches long. And, I mean, the blade length is fine. It's just the handle ends up being just a little bit smaller than I first anticipated, being mostly a 3-finger knife, or a 3.5. But you can also choke up if you do want that full 4-finger grip. But for people with normal size hands, yeah, this is probably a full 4-finger grip, no problem. I just got, you know, I got some width on my knuckles that really makes that kind of difficult. But yeah, these are basically the knives that I didn't have an intent or find on my own necessarily. I mean, I was aware of this one for a long time, but people finally talked me into it. But yes, this is all the knives that from other YouTube channels and things like that I've ended up picking up. Obviously, you can see that I guess with slightly with regards for this one, they're all kind of budget knives, but that's mostly what I'm interested in as well. I do like knives a whole lot. You know, I have a whole bunch of them, but I'm interested in them as tools. That's why I don't really have any safe queens. Basically, everything that I have gets used. I guess with one exception, and it's not that I'm afraid to use it. I just haven't yet. And that's the TwoSun TS129, the Vandal, the enormous one from Max Chachuk and LTK. Let's see if I can't pull the thing out here. Yeah, here we are. Kerblam. This thing is enormous. And that's a lot of the trouble that I have with it, is I do like a big knife. I do like a really big knife. This one is stupid big. The handle's really comfortable on it, but it is still pretty darn large and long. So that's what she said, and also kind of what my pocket ends up saying when I have that on there. Maybe when I get back to the summertime, things might be a little bit different once I'm wearing shorts and things like that again, or I'm, you know, out and about, so I'm actually wearing a belt rather than just some sweatpants or whatever that I've just been kind of wearing around the house. Yeah, this knife and sweatpants really don't get along because it's just really, really large and bulky. But yeah, I mean, once I get a belt on, I really don't care if I'm carrying a knife that weighs 2 pounds. It's not going to bother me because that weight is being anchored on my waist rather than anywhere else. So, all right, well, this was kind of a fun video. It went on a lot longer than I initially thought, but hey, what are you going to do? But, yeah. Anyway, as always, I appreciate y'all for watching, and yeah, if you were interested in doing this, like I said, this was an open tag that Patty grabbed from somebody else, so feel free to throw your own out there. If you do, definitely give me a link down below or something like that, because I'd love to see what anybody else's is. So, yeah, as always, I appreciate y'all for watching, and have yourself a wonderful rest of your day, yo. Subscribe.